Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you
Good to see
again.
you
I'm
again.
glad you came back. So how's things been since we talked last time?
They've been good.
Mhm.
This weekend has been nice because I haven't had to work and my schoolwork's starting to kind of dwindle down and I'm feeling a little less stressed.
Mhm.
So that's been great.
Mhm.
And I know we talked before about my sister and
Mhm.
that confrontation.
Yes, how'd that go?
So we've since talked.
You and your sister, or your mother and your sister? And
Me
you?
and my sister.
Okay.
I have talked to my mom a little bit, about the situation. And we're very on the same page,
Mhm.
like I talked about before, about how we want to handle it. But I did talk to my sister, and I try not to come off very abrasive when I talk to her, because like I mentioned before, she gets really uncomfortable very easily, and she'll just run away. If I start confronting her. So I try to be as, non-abrasive as possible and nice and calm. And so actually, I needed her to be my client for a counseling video for my class at school. And so we did a session before, like at the beginning of the semester, and I had to do my second one for my final. And she was my client the first round, so she needs to be my client for the second round. I'm thinking, oh geez, this is going to be awkward because we're fighting, but I need her to do my video.
Right.
It's due on Tuesday, so I need to get it done. So I talked to her, and beforehand, I was like, regardless of how, me and you feel about each other, you made a commitment, and I really need to do this, so I'd appreciate it if you can still show up on Saturday morning so we can do our video. And she did. And she walked in, and there was definitely like thick tension.
Okay.
And I knew that there would be. And I knew that we needed to at least talk like a little before we started that video. Otherwise, as a client counselor, it would just be a disaster.
Okay.
So I did, she sat down, and I was like, okay, so I know that there's some tension, between us right now. So I think it might be helpful for us to maybe just shake it off for a little. Shake off the tension, say what we want to say. We don't have to get too deep if you don't want to, but just enough to ease the tension, and then we can get to the video. I said, because otherwise, I think it's going to get in the way of this video. And so I said, is there anything that you would like to say? And before, I say anything. And she instantly, cried. Instantly, the minute I said that. And she was like, I'm sorry. And she was just, bawling. And so it's like, well, thank you. I appreciate, you being very honest and, having that raw emotion that you're sorry, and I appreciate it. Can I just ask, what are you sorry about? And she's like, well, I'm just sorry for everything I said. I said really hurtful things to you and to Katrina and to Dad, and I just feel really bad. And I think this is a wake-up call, and I need to really think about others and not just myself. And so I'm really sorry about that. So I liked that response. I thought it was, really mature. And just to have her just kind of sit down and instantly break down like that. She is an emotional person, but she's also very guarded with her emotions and her feelings. So I felt that for her to just for me to just instantly give her that opportunity was helpful. And we were able to talk it out a little. I told her how I felt. Again, I felt like I had to rein in my emotions about the situation.
Why do you think so?
Well, I didn't want to be abrasive. I was angry, and I didn't want
Were you
to.
still angry when she cried? How did that cry affect you? Here it is, your sister is coming to you, and you wanted her to have you said in our one session, you felt that she had no remorse, no connection to what she'd actually done, and you wanted her to see her ways. Now, did you view the crying as seeing her ways? How did you view that crying?
I saw it as seeing her ways, and I had a lot of empathy for it, and so it definitely softened me a little. But I she is my sister. I don't want to see her cry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see her upset.
Right.
But I was hurt too, so I felt like, that was my opportunity to just calmly tell her, like, what made me upset, and rather than a screaming match. So that just kind of brought up some negative emotions, and so I tried to make sure whatever those negative emotions were just at a minimum, so that I could get to the information of just, this is how I felt.
So negative, like you were feeling negative emotions towards her? What was a negative emotion?
Like, I feel like she's very selfish and narcissistic, and
so even though she was crying, it was kind of hard for you to put back, because you said that as well before, that she was selfish and she's narcissistic. So you still were hanging on to that. She's narcissistic and she's negative. And although she's crying, and you do have empathy for anyone that's crying, even and especially your sister, but because you know her personality, did you feel that that was a ploy? A narcissistic ploy or a selfish ploy to have you not be as hard on her? Does she know
that's a good way to put it. I don't think I've ever thought of it that way. I don't know. I mean, she's my sister, so I feel like I'm gonna love her regardless. And I think that unfortunately this is her cycle. She'll blow up and she'll be nasty and make everyone upset, and then, like you said, it might be like, she'll cry, and then it's almost like an undercover ploy, like, so that we can all forgive her again, and then the cycle continues. I think she just has a lot of maturity that she needs to grow, and I think that, I hope that this is another wake-up call. I don't know if it is. I think it kind of scared her to be kicked out of the house for a couple nights.
Oh, she was kicked out.
Oh, yeah. I guess I didn't say that before.
Okay.
Yeah, she was kicked out. She had to stay at her friend's house for a couple days.
That was after she did everything to your sister on her birthday.
So
and she got into the mean things to you as well, your dad. And your mom was still gone.
Yep.
Okay. And so
dad was like, you're out of here. Like, I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah. And how did she get back in?
Well, she went back and she talked to my dad about it. And she said she was sorry. And, I mean, they're not going to, it was more of like this is a lesson. Like, we are not dealing with this. And if you continue this way, this is what's going to happen. You're just not allowed home. There was concern about like where she was staying and like her safety. But I think that scared her that my parents actually, or my dad was actually like, you're out. Like, you're not going to treat, your sister this way. You're not going to put your sister in yourself in danger like you did when you were driving. So I think that in addition to kind of the fear of I'm alone, I think that really caught up with her. And so I think for me, when we sat down and, I said, like, I want you to talk about how you felt, and I kind of opened it up for her. I felt like maybe that was her opportunity to feel heard.
And so that was kind of like the first time that she had an opportunity to be heard, even though she went to your dad, he heard her. And of course, you saying that he was using it as a lesson, so he was willing to let her back. It wasn't like she was her last total draw.
Right.
But maybe she did not expose to him her complete feelings. That now she's sitting with you, and she's able to expose her feelings, but she really knows that you have been the person who's just like on her about how she's treating the rest of the family, how she's going in and out, how she's treating you, and you're like, I'm not going to put up with it. So she knows, because you played that leadership role from listening to what you told me. And you played a leadership role with her. It's not like you were just like buddy, and you can't act that way.
Right.
It's like, no, this is not acceptable to me, to the family, and danger. So, I mean, so she's now talking to you, she's crying, you're still thinking, I know you. What's her name?
Melissa.
I know you, Melissa. Your ways aren't changed, but right now you are vulnerable. And so how did you handle that? How were you able to just let the crying be something that you did not, well, it sounds like you didn't feed into it, am I true?
Probably, right. I don't think I fed into it. I didn't cater to her.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, oh, here's a you? Like, are you okay? No. I let her cry, and I just kind of watched, and I said, well, I told her thank you for, being so vulnerable and just raw in your emotions. I can tell that you're sorry and you're upset, and it's nice to know that you're remorseful. I said, but just so, like I said in the beginning, I want to kind of shake off both of our emotions about the situation. And so I said, I just want you to know that I don't really quite understand why you make life harder for yourself. I don't know why, you claim that you're all alone in this world. You claim you don't have friends, you have a, chaotic boyfriend, and, you feel like your family's not on your side. And I said, we are on your side, and we're always going to be here. And I mean, you could have family like that does not care this much. I mean, we do. We care a lot. And, I want you to start realizing that we are here, and, just stop pushing us away. And I said, because that's how I think we all feel. I feel like you're so destructive, in the situation, and then we end up feeling pushed. And you push us away so far, and then you push us to our limits, where we're like, what are we supposed to do? I mean, you don't help, you treat your sisters like crap, you treat your parents like crap, all you care about is yourself, it's, I said, that's really how I feel, that I'm tired of you pushing us away, when all we want to do is love you, and we want to support you and help you. And I mean, when I said all that, I think that made her feel better. She was crying, but I also felt like it was crying more in like a relief, like my family cares. And I was like, it's not, I mean, do you want to live in this world where you feel like your family's not on your side? And she's like, no. I'm like, okay, well, why do you have to choose your worlds? Like, you have your family, and then you have your chaotic, like, boyfriend relationship, deceitful, whatever is going on. Because they're just sneaky, and he's just a bad news. And I'm like, I don't think that right now it's going to happen for both worlds to collide, right now. Because I think that for now, we just need to do baby steps. And I think that one of the first things that needs to be repaired is your relationship with Katrina, our younger sister. Because that's who, within this week, has just been, that relationship has been really tainted. And I said, but in the past, you two have probably the most chaotic relationship out of everyone in the family. And then maybe slowly repair your relationships with your parents and myself and whatever. And then I was like, but I think that, I see a world where we can all get along. And if you and your boyfriend are together, and he sees ways that he can be a little bit more supportive and mesh well with our family, I don't think it's impossible. Our family is a loving Christian home, and we're open and we're giving, and we're accepting of all people. So I see hope, but that can't happen if you're not, the catalyst in that. And I think when I said all that helped relieve her a little. And it did, like that whole conversation, it shook off the tension.
Did you ever think about, I don't know, I hear you're saying that you know how she is, she's narcissistic, but, and that she pushes everybody away, but how do you think she really feels? She said to you guys, or to you, that she feels that her family is not on her side. But did you ask her, has it ever been talked, or do you understand why she feels that nobody's on her side? What is it that everyone's getting the same, attention in the family, or the same type of love? So what is it about that love that you guys are giving, that you're loving and Christian and supportive, that she does not feel, because she's responding that she feels that no one cares about her, that she's responding that no one cares about her? What do you think that's happening for Melissa, that Melissa is perceiving this loving Christian home as a hostile environment?
I think it comes from, it really is her relationship with her boyfriend. We're not supportive in the sense that we don't want them to be in a relationship.
Okay.
And I feel like we have our reasons that are pretty valid,
Mm-hmm.
because they have to do with her safety, they have to do with her well-being, and he is such a negative influence on her life.
So how was things between, I mean, Melissa has always been kind of selfish and narcissistic, did you feel?
I don't think until she started dating this guy.
So this is like a new behavior. Not
Well, they've
new.
been together for 3 years.
Right, so in the
definitely
past 3 years.
when they started dating, yeah, they definitely, she changed a lot. He, like, just his background, so he comes from a very affluent family.
Mm-hmm.
He went to a nice, expensive private school.
Mm-hmm.
He gets everything handed to him,
Mm-hmm.
and, excuse my French, but he's an asshole. Like, he's horrible. He treats people very negatively. He didn't really have a lot of friends, probably because he's just mean. And I think that she was lured though by the money and the fact that, I mean, he would like go on trips to France all the time, Germany, and his family would always offer to bring her. Right, that lifestyle. They have like these amazing cars, and you know, his mom would just buy her like randomly these $500 sweaters, and I mean, like, I think she was lured by the glitz and the glam, and like, oh my god, and I think that unfortunately she kind of got into it, and that's when we saw, and this was right around when they started dating. She was like going into her senior year of high school.
Okay.
And so that was like the big year where it's like, what are you gonna do with your life? Are you gonna go off to college? Are you gonna go into a career? Like, what do you want to do? Are you gonna go to Nova? Like, what do you want? And she definitely, I think when she started dating him, so he, I think he influenced that a lot. And it was almost like she had all this drive and all this ambition in her early years of high school. She was so involved. She did cross country. She had Young Life. I mean, she was super into everything. She was a mentor for wildlife, so the younger groups, and she was a leader. I mean, girl had everything going on. She had aspirations of going to a 4-year college, and she was like on a good path. And then she starts dating him, and all of a sudden it was like, I'm not taking my SATs. I'm not applying to college. I'm not even looking into a career. I'll just go to Nova.
So what was the intervention that you guys did? I mean, because you see this and you're thinking, this is a 360.
Well,
what was it?
I was actually kind of upset with my parents because I felt like they were almost too supportive of the idea of Nova. I have respect for Nova. I mean, I work with them all the time. I think it is an amazing opportunity for students who maybe financially can't afford college, or maybe they're not socially mature enough to go off to school, or they just want to be home. And I think that it is a good choice for people. But, I mean, I think my parents were almost too lured by the idea of how inexpensive it was, that they pushed her more. Like, okay, we don't want to pay for like 4-year college yet, so yep, 2 years in Nova, we're only gonna have to spend like, you know, $2,000 for the year. Like, okay. Which I agree, but then, you know, why didn't we push her for scholarships? Why didn't we, you know, I remember when I was applying to school, I did my financial aid and my scholarship research. I mean, I looked into everything. I knew I want to go to a 4-year school, and, you know, maybe my parents can't financially afford everything, but I'm going to make it happen because I want to go to school. And with Melissa, it was more of like, my boyfriend's here, I want to be with my boyfriend, so I'm just going to go to Nova. I'm not even going to try to see where I can go and like what the possibilities are, because this is my world.
And so you said that you felt that your parents, you were disappointed in that the fact that they didn't push her. So for you to go off to college and to make your way, find your financial aid, get help from your parents, but yet you're still going to be involved, was the was the better way or the right way, or I'm not sure which one that you figured that at. And then Melissa decided to go to your college, which you said is admirable, but at the same time, maybe she wouldn't have had so much influences, but she did it because of her boyfriend. So you find that to be, you think that's what started her problem. But
I just knew it was going to be a disaster.
it was going to be a disaster. And so, where were you in the availability to give the guidance? Were you already away
I was,
to college?
she started, I don't remember. No, so I just graduated college, so I was home.
Mm-hmm.
She graduated high school in 2012.
Okay.
So, yeah, she's been out for 2 years. So
you were home.
I was home.
Mm-hmm.
But while her senior year was going on, I was a senior in high school, or senior in college. So I wasn't technically home during the whole selection process.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think now has happened is, and my mom, I think, took it like my attitude towards it, and I think, unfortunately, she took it in a way that like, oh, look at you, you know, you went off and got a 4-year degree, because like I mentioned before, my mom didn't. And you think you're such like a hot shot, and you like have your college degree.
Yes.
And so you're putting your nose down to her going to 2-year college.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think? Do you think you were?
No, I mean, like I said, I have friends that went to Nova that only got their associates, and then now they're in a career, or I have friends who did the 2-year pathway program, and now they're at a 4-year. I have respect for that program, and so I felt very misunderstood when she put it that way, and I felt like that was her own insecurity of me having a degree and her not, which I find really weird. Like, don't you want to be proud that your daughter went off and got a college degree? I don't think she had, like, I think she was so clouded by that insecurity that with Melissa, my concern was socially, I don't think this is a good idea. Her boyfriend is here.
Right.
Her boyfriend is bad news. This is just going to put her in a tailspin. And it did.
Put her in a tailspin. And so do you talk to your parents about that whole development, how Melissa was, you know, it wasn't a good thing for her socially, and but yet your mother thought that it was okay because she hadn't had a degree, and she was, although proud of you, she kind of understood that if someone wanted to take a different route than just going straight to a 4-year or going away, because your mom didn't go away. And so do you think that, have you had those conversations with your parents or your mom? And has she, so are you talking just what you think about how she felt about it, her insecurities? Or are
It's
you...
definitely a touchy subject, for
Okay.
sure. It's touchy. I think that, so it's open before, just kind of throughout the past 2 years. It's uncomfortable because I think she does harbor a lot of that insecurity, but she doesn't want to admit it. And I almost think, and as her daughter, I want to be respectful and not be like, you know, well, you're insecure about the fact that you didn't go to college. I do not want to say that to my mom. That's what I know. Why? Because that's her. I don't know. I feel
Is there
like
another way you could say it? Like, if I was your mom, how would you say it to me? Like, if you knew that and maybe it might help me, do you think it would even help me to know that I had insecurities about not going to college? Do you think it'd be helpful?
I definitely have danced around it, and I feel like the way that I've said it before is in a way that, like, I don't disapprove of other people's choices to not go directly into a 4-year college. But I think that Melissa showed signs socially that she should not be home and she shouldn't be here. And I just wish that, you know, you were a little bit more supportive of that and maybe at least try to, like, have her take her SAT, maybe apply to a couple colleges, see what would happen. And then if nothing worked out and Melissa visited the schools and didn't like it and she made her final decision, then fine. But I felt like maybe you didn't give her all the information and you were easily lured by the tuition. And I could have helped you with applying to scholarships and financial aid. I would have been there.
And what did she say?
Now in the aftermath of how like, Melissa ended up going to Nova for the 1 semester when she, like that fall after she graduated, I and then she withdrew, and she failed, like, pretty much all her classes. She got
The
one,
first semester?
yep, she got one B, everything else, and then she got a D, and then everything else was F's, and my parents wasted money. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. I don't think she should be here.
Well, let me ask you a question, Maria. So, Melissa has a boyfriend. Melissa wants to be with her boyfriend. And, I mean, you understand love or your love for them, whatever it is, and whether it's functional or not functional, for us, in our opinion, it's love. Do you think that it would have behooved her to be forced into, following the path that you followed, or following the path of others as far as who went to school? Do you think that Melissa would have benefited from being forced?
No, but I feel like, how would we know? And I mean, it's like she didn't even get the information. So I felt like if she
did she go to the same high school you went to? Do they didn't have career services, or they didn't talk to the students about,
They did, but she didn't do anything. She didn't go seek out those services.
She didn't go seek out the services.
Her counselor met with her senior year and was like, what do you want to do? And she was just like, no, he's like, okay, here you go. Like, here's the application.
So you feel that, and so why is that you think that you feel, even though, let's take away the bad stuff that's happened, with her and her spiraling up and down and the in and out of, being very, aggressive and hurtful to say, oh, I'm so sorry. What if those things had still happened and she went away? How do you think you would view her whole mental state? How would you view that then?
Well, when I think of it on that flip side, it's almost like if she went off to a 4-year, I feel like because she socially is not as mature as maybe I was when I first went off to school, I am concerned that, that probably it might have not been a good idea. But then it's like, well, what are we supposed to do? Like, you can't function here at home going to a 2-year. You can't function going off to a 4-year. What do you want to do? Like, you need to do something. Like, if you want to go into hair school, go into hair school. If you want to go into another trade,
she's talked about those different trades, or no, you just...
She has talked about cosmetology, and I was like, oh yeah, like, that's so great. Like, here's some hair schools. You get your license in Richmond. I mean...
But do you think that because you are a career services person, that you really, a college career service, or, moving forward after college, that you feel that it's so important to have her do something? Like, what if she just wanted to do nothing?
That's pretty sad.
And so tell me why you think that's sad.
Because what are you supposed to do? Like, you're just going to sit at home, like, get married to this guy who is, abusive and, like, really honestly, it doesn't appear that he cares for you, but he'll basically buy you everything if you're fine with that. And honestly, I think she'd be cool with that.
But given your upbringing, given your parents' relationship, given your older sister being married, do you think at some point that she possibly, maybe not at the same time to you talked about the different levels of maturity, that she would be able to come to that conclusion, but maybe not at the same time? Maybe, maybe not at 20 or 19, maybe she'll come at 30. And so why do you find that to be, not wrong, but why do you find that to be, just because it's not the same? Just because she wouldn't go straight out of high school and,
Well, I think what gets confused with my parents is I don't want her to do the same thing I did. I'm very supportive of everyone's different paths. But I am an advocate that find a path. Whatever it is, find one.
So what if her path is just to do nothing? That's a path. What do you think about that?
What are you going to do? No.
No, you don't think that's a...
No, I don't think it's acceptable. I mean, especially when your parents have, paid for your school, they put a roof over your head, they provide everything for you, they pay for your gas. I think it's disrespectful. I mean, our parents have worked very hard to give us this life, and you're going to do nothing. You're going to just sit there and literally do nothing. And
Does she work? I think you...
She does. She works in anthropology, or that store.
A retail store.
Yeah, part-time, which when she started that job this past fall, she was back on track with school. We were all like, yay, Melissa, like, go for it. Like,
Yeah, she has a job, you're in school.
Right, like,
and
you're doing
what happened? Something happened?
Well, we just don't know how she's doing in school because she's very tight-lipped.
And so, and your parents aren't able, they're not on the...
They've tried, and she won't let them look at her grades.
Yeah.
Which is a...
So you'll find, this is her first semester back.
Yep.
And you're not sure.
I mean...
That could be, have you ever given the premise to that, that's why she's spiraling in and out right now? Because you talked about how horrible she's been the past, couple months?
Yeah.
You've given me, I mean, we've had 3 sessions, you've given me some stories about her just in the past couple months.
Yeah. And again, I think it leads to the boyfriend.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think it would be like to, take away everything, to look up to someone who is very successful, knowing that maybe you don't have the same aspirations and you don't have the same drive? How do you think it would be if you were Melissa and you were that person looking up to you? Very successful. You have a successful marriage, you have a successful job, you're in graduate school, you have a great relationship with your parents, you have friends. So now we have Melissa who's looking up to her big sister, who, just like it's instilled to you to look up to your parents, it's instilled for her to look up to you, because you're the big sister.
Right.
So imagine, what do you think, how would it be like for you? I mean, can you get an opportunity to put yourself in her shoes and imagine what could be going on to be able to look up to that and either not want it or want it and don't know how to get it, although people are giving you paths, but those paths do not groove with you. How do you think it would be to do that?
Well, I think it's hard for me to put myself in a position of not having any drive, because that is like my thing. That's my go-to, and I love it. I love having a plan and motivation and a drive. But I have thought about the complex of, of looking at me as the big sister, and I have heard her express before how, like, I'm mom and dad's favorite, like, I didn't really have, like, a lot of heartbreak growing up. I mean, like, I married my high school sweetheart, and we were together all through college, and yeah, we had our ups and downs, like,
you're married now, and you're happy.
We're married and we're happy, and, we're still, like, every married couple, we have our things, and, some days are harder than others, but, we don't have a chaotic relationship, which is what she's used to. And she does recognize that it's chaotic, and so I think that she does harbor some jealousy, but I guess what's hard for me to understand, though, is that I don't throw those things in her face. Like, I don't think that I act like I'm better than anyone, and I'm always coming to her rescue. Like, I always come to her, and I'm always like, how are you doing? Like, how's school? How's, your boyfriend? Like, how are things going? And I try not to cast judgment, like, when she does say things that I don't like. I remember when she first told me that she was failing a couple classes, and rather than get upset, like, why are you doing that? Like, stop, whatever, distracting yourself with your boyfriend, focus on school. That's probably how I really felt.
Okay, I was thinking that.
That's how I
really
felt.
Did you really feel about that?
That's how I felt. But instead, I said, well, if you ever need help with study skills and organization, like, I can help you out. And I left it at that.
But think about that. Think about it. You go to her, she's like coming to you in her, not raw, but in her downtime, knowing that you are very successful, and you didn't give her back honesty.
If I told her that, she would run away, and I don't want her to run away.
Right, but maybe when she runs away, she might even think about what people are saying, because obviously to come back to you and cry about feeling sorry about how she treated your sister and you and your dad, she thinks about it. She runs away because, who knows why she runs away, but she still heard the words that you guys said to her, and she thought about it. And maybe those practices, even though she's running away, but her hearing the honesty, because you said that you thought, not how dare, but why are you throwing your life away? I think, what'd you say about, why you not focused? Yeah, why you not focused on your schoolwork and so focused on your boyfriend, and, you know, it's not productive for you. But because maybe would those words work for you if someone came to you, if you're messed up your life, would it work for you? Like, I can help you, I can support you, and give you avenues. That would work better for you than if they came to you and say, Maria, why are you?
Oh, yeah.
But it's your sister now, totally different person. She might can use those words to actually help her along the way, even though you think those words are kind and what you said to her is gentle, and it keep her from running away. But it keeps her running away for whose benefit? Is that for your benefit or for her benefit? Because maybe running away gives her the opportunity to process. Some people have different processing things. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do, but then I guess it's hard for me to think that she does process it because, I mean, she'll like have these episodes where she'll get in a confrontation with me or my parents. She literally grabs her keys, runs away, and then, I mean, I see her on social media, and she'll just start
Bashing.
Well, no, and that's what it would be like. Okay, if she was bashing us and she was like writing things on social media that were negative, then I'd be like, oh, she is processing it.
Okay.
It's like, I don't care, and she'll start tweeting about clothes, or she'll take a selfie, or she'll run off to the mall with her friends, and it's like she literally doesn't want to think about it.
So that's her coping mechanism, to bury it. It didn't happen.
Right.
Okay. So.
If that makes sense.
No.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. That's her coping mechanism. But as a sister, and you said that you're in counseling. So as a sister, what do you think you can do to help her where she copes? Because, you know, as a counselor, you're expected to meet people where they are. They can't be where you are. They have to be where they are to be able to work on themselves.
Right.
So what are some of the things you think that as a sister that you can do to meet Melissa? Because you sound like you have good aspirations for her, but she's not going to come to the same aspirations or the same consensus as you did the way you did. So what do you think as a sister you can do to help Melissa where Melissa is?
Well,
without putting Maria's understanding.
Right.
Totally putting that down.
I think that, and I've expressed it to her before, I do believe she has her own way. And when she first dropped out of Nova, she went into a job full time at a daycare. And I literally told her, I said, you know what, even though I think it's, a little troublesome that you just dropped out of school when you have the opportunity to have your college paid for by your parents, I do think that maybe you might need some time to figure out what you want to do. So if this is the best avenue for you, and you work for a semester, and you find out you love it, and that's what you want to do, at least okay, fine. But maybe you do need this time to figure things out. And I knew that when I said that, she liked that response. And she knew that I wasn't casting judgment and that I was supporting it. And my parents said the same thing. We're kind of like, all right, I mean, it sucks that she wasted all our money and she, just wants to go work full time. But if that's what she wants to do, then fine. Go do it. And we'll just see where it goes. And so I do think that she benefited from that I as her sister was not casting judgment. How are we not going to be disappointed that someone completely failed?
The disappointment is understandable. Definitely.
Right.
I mean, because you fell in school. I mean, and you put money into it. Those are valuable resources.
Right.
That you don't want to just throw out to the wind. So what happened after she went to the 1 semester and she worked? Did she go back?
She had the aha moment. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life.
After during that time.
Right. She realized without a college degree, there's only just maybe, especially in this area, there's only so much I can do. Unless I go into a trade. And we were pushing her well, what about these ideas? I'm not pushing, but just kind of presenting the ideas. is really not for you. What about these avenues? So I think that when she realized that working at this daycare, that, probably the most that she'll ever make is like, maybe 16, 17 an hour. Not that that's horrible, but again, I mean, we live in a very expensive area, and we just want the best for her. And so I think when she realized there's just so far she can go, she did realize, okay, I need to go to school. Like, yeah, it's not that fun.
And how did that make you feel when she said that?
Like, thank you. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Like, it sucks. I don't want to be in school all the time. Like, I mean, I have moments where I'm like, oh my God, like, I just want to work and I just want to have a life. And I'm tired of being constantly in school and running back and forth to a job in school. But I know that it's going to pay off in the end, hopefully. And so I think that when she expressed that, kind of that aha moment, I'm like, all right, here's the maturity coming along. Like, and so this process of working full time was helpful. And we've even told her, like, if you want to maybe get a job full time, I mean, she came with a high school degree. She could get a job, like, maybe at, like, my husband used to work at Navy Federal Credit Union, and they had some full-time, like, secretarial, like, what's it called? Like, administrative assistant jobs. And I'm like, you could do that. I mean, they make, like, 30, 40 a year. That's pretty good for your age. I mean, why not? So, I mean, we've given her, like, all those avenues that I think she showed. Like, she definitely realized, like, no, I really, like, want to do something more. And she's expressed interest in, like, communications and PR.
So that's what she's studying.
Yeah, so that's what she's studying at Nova. So we're like, okay, well, if that's what you want to do, you're right, you need to go to school. So I don't know, I feel like we've given her all of the options. And,
but do you think, although your parents modeled hard work for you and you interpreted that hard work as always striving to have more, so if I get my college degree, I'm going to have more. Maybe Melissa interpret that hard work as I can work hard. I mean, your father has his associates, your mother has no degree, and your mother is doing well, your father does well. They both have their own business. Do you think that she is getting a different view of that? And knowing that, well, yeah, I'm doing all these things now, and I'm not very productive with my life, and maybe she thinks she is productive, I don't know how Melissa thinks, but I'm just saying that she knows that the future doesn't always have to be, one, doesn't always have to be that way, and then two, then she does have a boyfriend that kind of gives her a little back door to think, oh, well, if I get with him or stay with him, his parents will just support us, and, although it might not be a happy relationship, but.
I definitely think that's it. And she has expressed, I mean, she knows that, like, me and my husband both are in pretty high debt with student loans.
So she's talking about those things.
And I know she knows that it's not fun, and it's stressful, and it holds us back from a lot of things, like from buying a house, and or if we can't get a place, it's just really small, and I think she knows how financially stressful that is, and I think that on top of it, like the stress of, well, I don't want to go to school and have all those student loans, and then be up to my eyeballs in debt. So I think that's an influence, and then kind of like what you just said with my parents, like they don't have 4-year degrees, and they are doing so well. And she was like, well, I can just do that.
So, we're doing a lot of talk about Melissa. I want to know, how would it affect Maria if Melissa just does nothing in her life? How would it affect you?
I have a very hard time relating to, because I value education, and I value, I work in education, and it probably goes against my values.
So, again, think about it. How would it affect you? What would happen to your life if Melissa does nothing with her life? How would that affect your life?
I'd be worried.
So it causes some worry. Okay. And what would you do with that worry?
I would just always, I'd be in that constraint of, I want to be supportive and helpful, and I care, and I want to know she's just at least doing okay. But I would be doing something more with her life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if, if she really just wants to be, like, married, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But let's maybe be in a healthy relationship. I mean, I'm worried about my sister's well-being.
Yeah, her health,
This
yeah.
guy is, like, verbally, physically abusive. So then I'm kind of like, okay, if that's what you want to do, you want to be a wife and a mother, I will support that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't support you having an abusive marriage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What family member would?
So how do you see your response turning out? Like, if she still follows that path, what is it that, because it's her life, and yes, it does make you worry, you said, and you'll be concerned, but can't really make her do what she doesn't want to do. How do you see that in the relationship between you and her? I mean,
unfortunately, more of just kind of a surface relationship.
mm-hmm.
Like, I love you and I support you, and
Mm-hmm.
it's your life, you can do what you want, but probably that real, like, reality of, like, we're never going to agree. Like, I'm always going to advocate for education
Mm-hmm.
and for growth, and I'm always going to advocate to work hard, and you're okay with just doing nothing, so I can't understand you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I'd be at peace, like, in the sense of I could still, like, be her sister and be civil.
So you'd
And
be
I'd still be happy for her, like, in certain situations, like, in whatever.
if she has success,
Yeah.
whatever the success is.
Right, like,
if
if that's being
whatever
mom,
it is, yeah.
that's wonderful. If that's, I don't know, being promoted as a manager at your store, I'm going to be, like, happy
What
for
if
you.
what if it's just being a worker at her store? Still, you'd be happy that
Yeah.
I mean, not happy because of that, but happy that she's doing something.
Like, if she's happy
Right.
doing what she wants to do, then I'm happy for you. But when you're in the state of, like, this is currently what's happening, and you're really unhappy, and I'm trying to, like, save you from that, then I'm kind of like, okay.
So, what do you think? I think it would be good for you to maybe come up with some goals. How can you help Melissa? How can you help Melissa? Not how can Maria's influence help Melissa, but what is that Maria can do to help Melissa come to be who she wants to be, who she needs to be, to help her discover? Because it sounds like to me she's in the discovery period of not really knowing what she wants, who she wants, how she wants it. So what is it that you think you can do to help her with that without any part of career or without putting your influence on a future? More, it sounds like she needs to work on herself. So what is it that you can do to help her? Have you thought about that? You want to come up? You can come up with some goals if you like. Maybe some things you could try as a sister. Or maybe, I don't know how your friendship is, because we have sister friends and we have friendships, with people, and are you friends with your sister?
That's almost what I feel like it is, though. I feel like she wants me to be more of a friend, whereas I want to be a friend and a sister. I want to be one of your family. Like, I feel connected to her. Like, I would do anything for her. I don't know if she feels the same. Like,
so what would be wrong with that if she doesn't?
Because we're family and we're sisters.
But do you think she would do things for you?
I mean,
because you're saying I would do
anything
anything for her.
I probably said it wrong, but
okay, so
I feel like she does feel that connection. But for me, it's like I'm not at rest with knowing that my sister or sisters are unhappy with me, or knowing that they are upset by something I did would never be okay with me. Like, I mean, sure, we've gotten into, like, fights before growing up and whatever, but, like, I was always the one to come to them and be like, okay, let's talk about it, like, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. Whereas she is perfectly fine just being like, nope, I don't know you people, and I'm done. And I don't get that. So I feel like, and that's how she is with her friendships, where they get into confrontations, bye, like, I don't need to have a relationship with you. So, I mean, I feel like goal-wise, and it's something that, like, I try to do now, is if this is what she wants, where we just don't get there, we just don't dig there, because maybe she's not emotionally ready. Okay, let's go to the mall. Like, let's
So that's
just shop.
okay.
Let's not talk about that stuff.
So what is this, you know, we have just one more meeting. What is it, one thing that you could do, you think, that could help Melissa feel that her sister Maria, although she wants to be your friend, but she knows you're your sister, her sister Maria can accept her? Because it sounds like she might not feel accepted. What do you think? What do you think you can do besides going shopping to the mall? I mean, I know she likes shopping. We all like shopping. I mean,
that's it.
that's only because she only is into shopping
Well,
right now.
I could see like maybe just asking her to go to lunch or something, and you know, maybe when we talk, just kind of talking to her about her work and
Where she is right now.
right, just more of like how are things going, and like not, you know, getting to that level or whatever that triggers her.
And how do you think that would you be able to do something like that?
Yeah.
You know, giving her the opportunity just to be Melissa. You know, and you be Maria, but you know, accepting Melissa. And I'm not saying you don't accept her. I think that she probably looks to you and always feels that feels, even though you're not judging her, she probably always feels that you're judging her. You know, because that's because you've done well. And it sounds like she wants to do well, but she's struggling with something.
Yeah.
She's struggling. So, I mean, an opportunity to help a person who's struggling sometimes is to meet them where they are. I mean, definitely if she was smoking drugs, you wouldn't go smoke drugs with her. So, I mean, you know, but to meet them where they are. And even if she was doing drugs, you know, say, I want to know, what do you do? You know what I mean? Even if it was like, what is it, a day in the life of you?
Right.
You know, sometimes people really need to feel that someone cares about their day in the life, even though their day in the life from the outside just looks like. But maybe you can then understand a little bit some of her struggles. You said to me several times, I don't get it. I don't get how she doesn't want to have a drive, and I don't get how she doesn't notice that my parents, what they've gone through, and how they love and respect her, and yet she can't commit to this relationship of being a daughter, being a sister. Maybe, you know, have you, you know, or even the relationship with her boyfriend, and I know that's hard if he's going to abuse her. It's very hard for you to sit back and watch that as a sister. You know, I would feel very upset if my sister was with someone who was verbally abusing her.
Right.
You're like constantly like, okay, how can I get her out of this situation? No matter how financially wealthy they are.
Right.
I mean, I would feel the same way. So
right.
Definitely, I can understand. But maybe just dealing with Melissa. Maybe you could just do one activity in your busy time. Just one activity, or just attempt, because she might be busy too. Attempt to do something that is in Melissa's world, so that she can see that you don't look at her from your world, that you're willing to come to her world and willing to see where it is and what's causing her to tick. It might be beneficial to her to help her, even, you know, in so many ways, to feel that self-confidence and that self-worth.
Right.
To where she wants to continually want something more.
Right.
What do you think about that? Is it, I mean, and if it's, I'm just wondering.
My thing, like, I agree, but I already do that.
You
and
feel like you do that?
like,
Okay.
So I feel like, goal-wise, I'm just going to keep doing that. Like, I'm just going to keep, like, if that's what she wants and this is her world, then I'm just going to see what her world is. It's just kind of, but then part of me feels like, well, that just feeds into her narcissism. Because, like, this is an example. Like, we went to, we went to lunch, or we went to Starbucks together, and we were supposed to do work, and, you know, she's a student, I'm a student, so it's like, yay, let's do work together. You know, and I help her sometimes with her psych homework, and, because I was a psych major and studying counseling, so she's like, okay, like, this is awesome. And it's good. Like when we are on that level and we're like just talking and we're
Yeah.
just kind of like helping one another. I
Mhm.
mean,
Mhm.
it's fun, and I know she likes it, and she feels, she knows, and she does. She asks me for help. She'll text me, be like, I need help picking a topic for a psych project.
Mhm.
Like, okay, I'll help you out when I get home.
Mhm.
But then it's almost like the minute I start talking about anything related to myself, it's like selfie, text. I mean, I'm not there.
Not there.
Nope. And then I'm like, okay, never mind. Melissa. Okay, Melissa. What shoes did you buy yesterday? Oh, those look cute. I like your scarf. It's like we have to focus on
On
her.
her. Mhm.
So I still do it, like I let it go, and I just talk to her about it, and it's hurtful. It's like, why do you, like, I'm going through
Yeah.
so much.
And you're not.
I do not understand why you don't care.
Mhm.
But again, maybe it relates to that social immaturity.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna go ahead and like not let it make, not affect me. I'm just gonna focus on you. And it
Which
just
calls
sucks.
your maturity, but then it just sucks for you because you're not getting anything from the relationship.
Right. It's like, how do I do it? Like, what do I do? Like,
Mhm.
I want to just live in your world and make you feel supported and loved.
Yeah.
On the other hand,
But you
the
don't.
minute anything comes out that's real, or the minute that anything
It's
about
not about
myself
her.
comes
Yeah.
out, and it's not about her, she's immediately on her phone.
And so what do you say? You say, okay, Melissa, you go, so then you go back to her world. Do you say, it's hurtful that we're together and we're talking and you share about yourself, and when I start to share about myself, you aren't able to give back? What happens for you? What is it about when I share my world? Have you had that kind of conversation with her? I mean, honestly, from the heart. Because sometimes,
Probably not.
Mhm.
I mean,
and it gives her opportunity. You not yelling or screaming. It's like I can't believe, but just from the heart. Like, wow, Melissa. I don't know what you call this, but wow, Melissa. I'm talking to you about myself and yourself. You did a selfie. Like, how would you feel if I did that?
right.
I mean, and kind of ask her, and when you're in that moment, like, how would that feel? And it really, and then tell her how it makes you feel. It really makes me feel devalued, or makes me feel like you don't really care about me.
Yeah, we definitely talked to her about that.
Yeah, and give her opportunity, and yes, she could run, but I mean, in that moment, you guys are working on stuff together. She'd have to pack up everything and run. It's not like you're just catching her in the kitchen and she can go just grab her purse. Like, you're working on a project, so there's some commitment to
Right.
that meeting.
Right.
And then,
True.
and in that meeting, give her an opportunity to be responsible for her actions. Of just, I'm talking about myself, and you're not.
Right.
Like, what happens? Why do you do that? I just really want to understand that about you because I care about you. It's my sister, and I just want to know, And maybe that'll give her opportunity when she starts to verbalize, like, why she's doing that. Maybe she'll see that she is in a. I mean, it's just a.
Yeah.
I know
think that would
it
help.
sounds like it's hard.
I think what's hard about it is I do feel like she has done that before, where she has put the phone down and she's focused on me.
Mm-hmm.
I
Did you bring it to her attention, or she just did?
Yeah, it was when we were doing the SAT.
Okay.
She helped me out, and she was a hall proctor,
Okay.
and she did a great job.
Oh,
She
cool.
like had the radio and was like very responsive and helped the rooms out, and she did an awesome job. And I remember when I came up to her and something happened, like I had a proctor who came really late and it really stressed me out, or something was happening. But like my adrenaline was on, so once everything was settled and everything was good, I still felt like nervous and like agitated by the whole situation. And so I went over to her and I was like, oh my God, like that was a lot. And she's like, yeah, that was kind of crazy. So she's empathizing with me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is nice. Like, you're not on your phone. You're not focusing on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to cry. Like, I started to tear up because I was just like,
Yeah, overwhelmed by
that
that
was just really
situation.
overwhelming.
Mhm.
And she started crying.
So she definitely empathized with you, and she matched your emotion.
She did. And I even said, I was like, why? And then I started kind of crying, laughing. Like, why are you crying? She's like, because you're my sister. And if you cry, she said that, I mean, that was really nice.
Yeah.
That was like
Mm-hmm.
the hallelujah, you get it. Like, we do have a connection.
Mm-hmm.
It's not consistent,
Mm-hmm.
but at least it's like starting to peak. Like, for
Yeah,
real.
because that was this year, right? That was
Yeah,
a
that
few
was
months
like
ago.
2 weeks ago.
Oh, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
there's work. There's potential.
Yeah.
There's a sign.
No, there's a sign that but you came to her, and I want you to see that, with your raw emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of the straight face Maria, and you came to her with a raw emotion, and she immediately grabbed to that.
That's true.
And so that's why I'm saying that it would behoove you to just try and just to meet her at where she is. It sounds like that's where she's reachable. She's not reachable where you are. It would be nice.
Yeah.
It would be really nice. It'd be easy,
That's a good way to put it.
it would be easy, but it sounded like to me that was a prime example of how more instances of that are just so important to her. This right emotion, being vulnerable with her, that she has a heart and she does want to connect to you because she knows you guys are there for her. But then some children, it is hard for them they feel like they cannot live up to these expectations. They don't want to live up to these expectations. It's too hard.
Right.
It's too hard, and I don't want to do it. And if I don't, I can do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have more fun with that, But you have to. It's just meeting her at the heart. Meeting her at the heart. So maybe we can talk a little bit more about that next time.
Okay.
And maybe we can go over some techniques that maybe you can use to to help her and help you so that you guys can get along and that she can maybe start to do things that's more, I guess, sensible for your family.
Okay. I like that.
Okay?
I like that plan.
Okay, good. So we'll talk about that next time.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.